Hello, YouTube music lovers. I'm Fitz Randolph, and it's time for another episode of The Music Makers. Today we're talking with Lloyd Oby, trombone player extraordinaire. He plays the blues, he plays jazz, he plays whatever he feels like, and now let's visit with Lloyd Oby. So Lloyd, welcome, and my first question is, where are you from and where are your roots?
How are you doing, Fitz? I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I stayed down there for 7 days, and I moved to Baton Rouge.
So you were 7 days old when you moved?
Right, I was born in a charity hospital in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And I was raised in, I can remember being a kid, looking at the Johnny Carson show and seeing Doc Severinsen and that band and all of those guys. And I knew then that I wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to be in a band like that. So my dream, unfortunately, in a sense, was all I wanted to do was be in a band. And so in middle school, we put bands together. We played anywhere we could. And then, of course, I was in high school, played in the stage band in high school. I did.
What was the first time you picked up an instrument of any kind, and what, as you remember?
Well, the story goes, I originally wanted to play drums.
Okay, drums.
At
what age? Do you know what age you were? 7,
from
8
seeing
years
Buddy
old?
Rich, 3 or 4, see him and smiling, I want to play drums. Then I wanted to play saxophone. Okay. So my grandfather took me to the music store to get a saxophone. Now this is a story.
Wow.
So when we got to the music store, we looked at an alto sax, and I said, yeah, I want to play that. And my grandfather said, how much is it? He said, $300. My grandfather said, son, you can't play saxophone.
Ooh, 300.
So it just so happens that Bob Johnson was my middle school band director, happened to be at the store at the time. And he said, he looks like a trombone player.
No kidding.
Yeah, and because they would get the taller kids and let them play trombone.
Oh,
so I said, well, what does that look like? And he brought a trombone down. It was a con director. And I looked at it, saw the copper bell. I said, yeah, I want to play one of those.
Okay.
And my grandfather said, how much does that cost back in the 60s? And he said, $125.
Oh.
He said, you can play one of those.
Okay. You learned to read music then?
I learned to read music as I learned how to play. And I did that and went on, and that was the beginning. So I would play in the bands during the day, and I would play, even at about 14, I was starting to play in nightclubs and play around.
So you mean you formed groups, little groups when you were in high school?
We formed groups in high school. We all got together and formed bands together. In Lil Carl Carlton, we played behind him, and different acts that would come to town, and until we kind of developed over the years. So, it started on one local level in junior high. Then in high school, of course, I was in Louisiana, have parishes, so I was in all parish band every year. And in my senior year, I was in all state, which was a big deal.
But you were playing on the side. I mean, you were in school playing in a band, but were you playing doing night gigs or anything?
I was gigging at night.
Wow.
I was playing in concert band.
Underage, probably in bars.
Underage in bars, playing.
Shh, don't tell.
Yeah, at night. Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
You had scholarship or?
Yeah, I had a scholarship to Southern.
Good for you.
So that was an exposure because, of course, Dr. Greggs gave me the scholarship to Southern. Once I got there, I met Alvin Baptiste, who's just was such a mentor to me because he was such a great musician and a great person, kind of like yourself.
Be careful.
But my freshman year at Southern, we went to New York. We played at, I think it was Yankee Stadium. And then we went to Mexico City. We did a lot of great things with the marching band during that time.
Wow.
And then, of course, the same thing with the jazz band. It was very great because we did the Mobile Jazz Festival. We won it, the Mobile Jazz Festival, and I got outstanding musicians. 4 guys in the band got outstanding musicians at the Mobile Jazz Festival, with Herbie Green, which was a great trombonist and a great person. So I got a chance to be exposed to a guy that was really playing a trombone. I was starting to get exposed to real, world-class musicians.
Yeah.
In college we formed a band that did very well, and like I said before, I guess it wasn't meant for us. We came so close a couple of times to getting a major deal through Philadelphia International with George Duke, I think it was at that time. Cannonball Adderley was going to give us a deal. Earl of Pearl was going to give us a deal. The basketball player. He kind of got in the music business.
Really? Okay.
And who we chose to go with, which was Cannonball Adderley, because he was just. And that was Khalifa Hamid, who we all know.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Atlanta, he was the only person I knew. He called me up and asked me, did I want to play with this big band? And that's when I got a chance to meet Bob Lewis, Howard Nicholson, a lot of great musicians out of Atlanta. Everybody coming into a lot of people in education.
Really?
A lot of local people, community musicians, because I got exposed. Do sessions and stuff like that. So I was doing sessions and gigging. That was basically all I was doing for years in Atlanta. And then Ralph called me one day and he asked me, would you like to come do this session with Eddie Kendricks? So I said, sure. And the SOS band horn section adding me.
Wow.
The chemistry was so great with that band. We sounded so good. He said, we're taking you on board. So this was right when they were doing Just Be Good to Me. That's when the SOS band hired me, and that's when things really became a lot of fun and great. And that's when all the guys with the SOS, with 7 Wonders said, wow, maybe we should have moved to Atlanta. But it was a great move for me to move to Atlanta because that gave me the exposure of groups that were really doing things.
Thanks to Lloyd Oby, fabulous trombone player, for being on our show today, and his pal Bobby Latham on guitar helping out. This has been another edition of The Music Makers. I'm your host, Fitz Randolph, reminding you to keep listening to music.